Listen to Connor Phillips on BBC Radio Ulster. Now, I did say at the start of the week, I'm not a big fan of talking about New Year's resolutions on the radio. Mainly because we're on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the morning part of the day will probably have hoovered that up from a radio perspective. Everyone would have been talking about them. But I'm going to go at it from a slightly different perspective here. I'm joined by mental health expert and psychotherapist Noel McDermott to talk about, I suppose, the little changes we can make to make a big impact. Would that be fair, Noel?
Yeah, that's the only changes that make any sense whatsoever.
Oh, really? So the sort of the little ones, the small, the tiny wee nuanced ones can have a bigger impact?
Yeah, and psychologically speaking, if you've got big changes to make, don't bother. What you should do is break them down into small bits.
Okay, so explain that to me. The big ones, like, don't go, right, I'm going to lose 12 stone. You know, don't do it that way.
You're not going to lose 12 stone. I'm telling you now, it's not going to happen. Certainly not with that sort of attitude. You can lose 12 stone, but you've got to be realistic about how long it takes. And you've got to break it down into bite-sized, manageable chunks. So the secret of change is to use the brain's sort of primal sort of skill, which is to do things without any thought or effort. So if I ask you to boil an egg, all right, if you go off and boil an egg, does it cost you a lot of emotional energy to do that?
The bit where you drop the egg into the water and sometimes it cracks a little tiny bit and some of the
I'm talking to an eye. Oh my God, I'm asking something to be simple with me.
Sorry. Yes, it's really simple. You pop it into the water, you turn it on.
Dude, know your script. So
I think you've already worked out what type of person I am, an overthinker. Right, so yes.
If you remember when you first learned to boil an egg,
yes.
It was complicated, right?
Okay.
But these days, now, when you're going to boil an egg, unless you're in an emotional crisis, which you seem to be in permanently, mate. But apart from that, it's pretty straightforward, right? You don't need a lot of effort. And that's because the brain has automated the function. So your executive function says, boil an egg. And then mostly you will do that without any sort of thought or effort or motivation. So the bits of your brain that have already automated it will get on with it. And you can probably, I would imagine, maybe not in your case, I'm discovering, but most of us, we can probably do lots of other things while we're boiling the egg. We don't need to be hovering over it, just making sure everything's right. We sort of know what's going on and we can maybe make a phone call or stuff like that. Now, that's about habit or automation, I like to think of it. And the brain is brilliant at automation. And again, using another example, like brushing your teeth. When you were a kid, it was hard work, but now it's not. You get up, you do it, it's automatic. You don't have that much thought or effort or motivation in it. And really, you want to think of any change in your life getting to that point where your brain just automates it. And so you're not having to think about it and do it. The idea behind that is you break things down into small, bite-sized chunks, which you then repeat till they become habitual. Once that's become habitual, you add in the next bit of the task, and then you keep repeating that. So you then got 2 habits that are going without any effort whatsoever. Once you've done that, you have the 3rd bit of the task, and so on and so forth.
I'm just kind of trying to think under a wider umbrella, right? So say, for example, you say you're messy. You want to be more tidy in 2026, right? So you do a few wee bits, you get out in the morning and you fold some clothes. If you think, like, my thing is I want to use my mobile phone less, put it over there for when you're getting up in the morning, when you're brushing your teeth, and then it becomes a habit and then you use it less, and etc. That can work for any facet of your life.
Absolutely. And it's the only way you're going to change. It is literally the only way you're going to change. If you have to use a lot of motivation or what's called dopamine, decision-making energy to do something, it is not sustainable long-term.
Oh, wow. That's a really good
point.
Small
changes that you can repeat and that you can habituate are what are the changes that you're going to be most successful with. And that's for everything. And that's the same with learning any task. So again, if you think about learning how to drive, It was very awkward at first. Now, I guess when you're driving, most of us don't even remember the journey, to be honest. We remember any hazards, we notice hazards, and that's about it. And that's what that bit of our brain is designed to do. That sort of conscious bit of our brain is to just go, is anything going wrong? Then adjust if it is.
There's a lovely piece in your research about socializing. Talk to me about socializing and how and why it's important.
We're social animals, and we get automatic rewards for any effort that we make. So if we think about sort of there's effort and reward, and often they're the same sort of neurochemicals, oddly enough, but that doesn't matter. So when we're doing something, particularly when we're learning something new, there's a lot of energy or neurochemical energy that's expended. And what we want to do is top that up with as many rewards as possible and as many healthy rewards as possible. And we automatically get lots of emotional sort of neurochemical rewards for doing things with other people, just because we're social animals. And so anything we do socially, we get benefits and we get a sense of feeling good. And what that does is two things. I don't know what genuinely what you're like as a person, but most of us, we sort of, when we're with a group of peers, we want to fit in and be accepted. And so if we're part of a group of peers that, for example, are going running, we're automatically going to want to fit in. It's the fitting in that's important. And we put aside the effort of the running because we just want to be part of the group. And that pulls us along. Also, when it's like a cold morning like this, I'm literally doing this after the interview, is I've got to meet a couple of mates in the park to do some boxing. Now, it's very easy for me to think, oh, it's too cold, it's a bit of snow, I'm not going to go. But my mates are online going, come on, you wimp, get on with it. You better be turning up, all that sort of stuff. So I make no effort to motivate myself. They do. Lack of contact with them is what I would miss. And so I will go and do it, even though there's a little bit of snow and it's a bit cold and all that sort of stuff. And then I get massive sort of double, treble whammy. I'm going to be outside. I'm going to be with some friends and have a laugh with them. And incidentally, I'm going to do some exercise.
Let me talk about stress management if I can. This is something I need to work on. I'm not a stressed person until something sort of changes, and until it's like, you know, the mortgage is up for renewal and you have to go, oh, right, that's a whole big thing. That's a thing I have to do. Or I have to change the car because there's a thing happening with the car. Like if I'm going through my life, I'm actually not a stressed out person. But the minute that a little roadblock comes up, I can focus in and narrow in on that and let that thing stress me out. Maybe even keep me awake at night sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's normal. That's natural. That's how all of us respond to change because of this habitual thing. So when something is predictable and planned and just chuntering along, we're all very happy. As soon as something changes, we then get stress hormones released into our body because we're being sent signals that there's a danger, there's a risk. Now, what we have to do is notice that and decide, is that an appropriate signal? Is that correct? Is this actually a risk or not? If we think back to where those risk markers come from, they actually come from a time when something was literally going to eat us. And so these days, generally, I would guess for most of us, there isn't something ready to just about to pounce on us and eat us.
The check engine light in my car has never taken a bite out of me just yet.
That's right. Yeah. It's unlikely to, even as we speak. So the stress hormones, the stress alert that's being produced in us is probably inappropriate to the situation. Now, we can manage those things because they are physical or physiological responses to external events. So they're literally happening inside our own bodies and we have power over those things. And learning stress management is pretty straightforward. And there's some really great techniques, physical relaxation techniques. So one of the things that happens when we're stressed is our muscles tense, ready to fight or run away or something like that. And so we can learn to notice that in our bodies and go, oh, maybe I'll just let that go. I'm doing it right now. People won't be able to see me, but I'm literally shaking my shoulders and my arms and letting it relax. That stuff that we automatically do. We can notice, for example, our breathing might have got a bit faster, so we can slow it down. The stories inside our head are suggesting something catastrophic might be about to happen. So not only is the brake light warning come on, but that's it. I'm going to die and I'm going to take out 300,000 people with me. That's the end of the world. We can notice those thoughts and go, maybe those thoughts aren't exactly healthy and helpful at the moment. Maybe I could change that thought too. You know what? If there is a problem, I could gently go to the side of the road and call one of the recovery companies, and I'll probably be okay. And that type of thinking is probably more useful for us. Now, why is that important? Simply because stress is implicated. So those physical, psychological responses are implicated in every major lifestyle illness. Every single one of them involves stress. It's also implicated in every every single sort of mental health issue. So in studies of twins, for example, one might develop a psychotic illness, but the other one, an identical twin, only has a 50-50 chance of developing it. And the mediator of whether or not they develop it is how well they manage stress. Managing stress is a crucial skill.
Mentalhealthworks.net is where you can go and have a little look at that. Noel himself does a podcast, The Wellbeing Show, which you can go and have a little listen to. What is your thing? What's the thing that you're working on in 2026, Noel, before I let you go?
It may sound a bit soppy, but I'm learning to be a bit kinder with myself. I can really, really give myself a hard time to achieve things, oddly enough. There you go. So I'm going to work on this idea of I'm going to be good enough, and that'll be okay.
Might need a chat.
Did that just freak you out?
Might need a chat, Noel. We're in the same... I think we're in the same boat there. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. I got lots out of that there, and hopefully people who are listening to the show will as well. Can I wish you and the entire crew a happy new year and a very fruitful 2026?
All right, mate. You take care.